fixture this weekend was a thrilling one. A thrilling one in which Arsenal had to come back from behind twice to get ourselves back on top of the table. And boy, this was a nervy affair because I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, understandably so. And I'm sure all the Arsenal fans can resonate with me on this one. But to me, the funny part in this one, Emi Martinez, bro, of all people, it had to be him with the own goal. I mean, he couldn't do much about it, but it had to be him.
Script pretty much writes itself. Like you said, Emi Martinez coming back, or I should say, Emi Martinez facing his old team. I'm sure that's not what he intended to. I mean, again, it's fine margins, right? You're looking at if the ball hits the crossbar maybe an inch higher, it's probably going over the bar, or it's not hitting Emi Martinez on the way down. But to be honest, I don't like the guy at all. So I just, I mean, I don't like that Arsenal won because of it. But if it happened to that guy, I mean, it couldn't have happened to a better guy for me, to be honest. And on top of that, if you look at Unai Emery's interview, we rarely see keepers go up, right? I mean, this is not a cup final, right? I mean, Villa are not fighting for, this is not the last game of the season where they have to get a result. He went up, and I mean, the goal doesn't matter, right? 3-2, 4-2, who cares? But then Unai Emery was, I think he was visibly very angry with Emi Martinez making his own decisions to go up, because usually we see keepers ask, right? We see them look to the sidelines and say, "Can I go up, coach?" And I mean, he either says yes or no. That's just who he is, you know. We've seen his antiques. That's who he is. He's ended up costing them the fourth goal, which didn't matter ultimately. But I guess it only helps Arsenal's goal difference. But yeah,
Which
this
I'll
game,
take.
yeah, I mean, you're taking any day of the week, but this game it's huge for you because 1 point out of nine, right? Prior to this game, of course. And until even deep into the stoppage time, you're thinking, damn, that's another drop 2 points, right? Off the back of City beating you, and then later on, who went on to play Forest, who ended up doing you a favor. But now we're probably looking at this and saying that 3 game stretch was a blip plus a set of freakish circumstances, right? Everton coming in with a new manager, maybe not too freakish. I mean, it happens sometimes, but then the game against Brentford, I mean, that's just a freak accident, right? I mean, we rightfully see the VAR official get sacked for it. Lee Mason is out of the Premier League, and City. I mean, you can lose to City, but now you're looking at this as, oh yeah, I mean, teams go through these periods, and Arsenal are out of it now. I mean, would have to continue, but the run of schedules coming up look very favorable.
Yeah, so that win was crucial for that sense, for the momentum, for getting that rhythm back, and to pretty much silence all the haters out there. I think it was huge because, as you said, that psychological negativity was starting to creep in. The questions were starting to be asked, and there was just no better way to respond to that than
Uh,
this.
yeah, I mean, you could tell from the media, everybody was painting this as, oh, now City are going to go on a 10 game winning streak and close the gap or even extend the gap to Arsenal. That's just not the case this season, you know? So that narrative has been turned around. I have to say, I mean, I know I've been telling you that this is Arsenal's league to lose, right? I mean, I don't think City are going to win it anymore. Now the narratives are turned. Now people are saying, well, I guess this is what City are. I mean, they could have easily won, right? They had 2 or 3 great chances to kill the game off, but what do you have to say? I mean, Arsenal have been more consistent overall this season.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, it was also evident, not just with the goal from Jorginho, but it was evident that
No,
a
no,
sense of
own goal, not goal for Jorginho, an own
yeah,
goal.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think from the
Yeah, I
goal.
know. Yes, I know
His,
what you mean.
his importance in the game was very significant. Really, most of the through balls were coming from him, and he was the one kind of able to unlock the defense in those crucial moments. And having a player that can do that is crucial, especially with what we've seen so far, teams wanting to sit back and defend and clog up the gaps. But I'll say that it's crucial, or it was evident today or in this match that Jorginho was just a huge difference maker, and that central midfield role was critical. Imagine we brought in nobody. Who would have been starting?
Lokonga.
Not even. I mean, would have kept him at that point, but
Yeah, he wouldn't have went out, but yeah.
there's nobody else.
I mean, yeah, I thought I had my doubts prior to the game. Um, he did that role against City, and that loss wasn't necessarily down to Jorginho, right? But I mean, the guy can't work as a pivot, single pivot. But this game, he showed it that he can do it, provided the right assistance, the right sets of players around him. And yeah, I mean, I mean, people make fun of him, right? He looks like a 5-year-old, has a physique of a typical non-footballer, and he can be dominated in certain points, but he obviously has his strengths as well. When he's provided that protection, he can spray passes for. I mean, he's like a he's like a Tesco Pirlo, a Walmart Pirlo. Give him the right environment, circumstances, he can do a very good job. So yeah, it's again, we all thought that you and I both thought that although not the best, of course, not the flashy name, but we both thought that he could do a decent job, and he's done that 2 games in a row when Partey's missed. So
Yeah, and speaking of Jorginho's old side, who sold him for 12 million to us, went on to spend what was it, over 100, over 150. They go on and lose to Southampton at home in a match that I told you guys before. I said, don't be surprised if Southampton can get a result here, and that they did. How the hell did they pull
yeah,
it off? Is the question.
well, certainly it doesn't seem as though it's too big of a task to go on to Chelsea and get a result there right now. That's Fulham and that's Southampton now. Fulham was a draw, of course, but Southampton. To be honest, I feel for Chelsea, right? First half was poor, very poor. They deserve, I don't know if they deserve to go down, but I would just, I mean, this guy's been on fire this season, right? James Ward-Prowse, that's what his third or fourth or fifth direct free kick scored this season alone. And he's one behind David Beckham for the all-time Premier League record. So that tells you something. But in the second half, I mean, they should have scored at least 2, 3 times, Chelsea. They should have scored. And I don't know if you're watching this game or the City game, but they
I think you know which one I was watching.
yeah, I mean that's why I watched the Chelsea game because I knew you were gonna watch the City game, but they just again they're crying out for the striker. Like you create all these chances. First half they deserved to go down. They were lacking the rhythm. They had nothing going on. Second half they're creating bare chances. Of course, in the dying minutes they had the freak injury to Aspilicueta as well, so that killed the rhythm and the tempo. But I wouldn't say Chelsea played bad. It's just they can't seem to find the net at the moment. The last time they scored more than once in a game was November of 2022.
Would you say that they're playing in a manner that, given the opportunity to put in a striker and to get that focal point in there, do you think that that could be a transformational addition to the side? Do you think everywhere else is kind of complete?
I mean, you look at that side, right? They're an embarrassment of riches, pretty much. They're bringing on Havertz on Saturday. Havertz, Mudryk, they both combined are probably costing more than the whole Southampton squad. Havertz was 80, Mudryk close to 80, right? And they have the players. I mean, look at all that money that they've spent, right? They're starting the new striker Fofana up top. Shield came in the back. Wesley Fofana, summer signing, came in on a halftime as well. We're sorry, in the second half. But I guess I'll ask this question. You look at some teams and you think, well, something just needs to click for them to for the goals to start pouring in, right? I mean, you look at some teams like uh, maybe Liverpool of 5, 6 years ago when they were first gelling. You looked at them and thought they just need this one moment and the goals will start pouring in, and it did. Do I look at that Chelsea side and think they're just missing that one piece and the goals will start pouring in? I don't know if I mean I keep saying they need a striker, but I don't know if I'm gonna go on to say that that's gonna fix all the problems because they still look like a side that's like we know they are. They still look like a side that's just been organized over the past 2 or 3 transfer windows. New manager, he's brought in what 20 plus players, and I think it shows because to me I don't get the feeling that they're just missing a striker to really blow away the rest of the league like Liverpool did back in for 20 17 18.
From a Southampton perspective, do you feel like this result is a telling sign as to whether or not they can stay up? Like, we know that they're still sitting bottom, but this is a big result for them.
Yeah, huge result. A young squad at that. And we were listening to the manager speak, right? Nathan Jones. It was interesting. I was listening to somebody talk about him before, and they were actually dreading him because he'd done well at Luton Town. He failed at Stoke, but he carried Luton Town up to the championship, and he was getting plausibly so getting all the plaudits. But they dreaded it because they described him as this almost a narcissist who can't get enough of himself, right? And I think that rubbed off very wrongly on the players. And we thought that City game could be a turning point when they won 2-0, but it clearly didn't because I mean the guy kept on contradicting himself. I think he said something about the system doesn't matter at one point, and then 5 minutes later he said well, the system does matter. I mean that's what we say about managers, right? Even when things are going not that well, you need to have your ideas. You need to have your ideas straight and really focus that onto the team so that they can buy the message. And clearly they didn't. So we don't know who the new manager is going to be, right? I think I heard reports that the assistant manager who got this win could carry the team on to the rest of the season. But I just feel like I don't know if they're going to stay up, to be honest, because their squad is too young. They're not. I don't think they're built for this. And maybe you could bring in someone like Big Sam, who can. I know that's not the direction that they want to go to. Of course, they want to build with the youngsters that they have, the promising youngsters that they've brought in from Dortmund, City, and all that. But I mean, that's all moot if you go down to the championship, right? So I just I don't know if they're gonna stay up, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I share those sentiments. Although this was a good result for them, I don't see them really carrying on with this and picking up any rhythm or momentum. Now, though, let's talk about our other title competitors and how they failed to get all 3 points against Nottingham Forest. Very shockingly. I mean, I was certain that they were going to come through with a victory here. And I even said in the preview that Nottingham Forest, they did well against the big sides in terms of, they beat Liverpool, for example. Maybe they could do some business here again. And that is exactly what they've done. But as you said, Man City had bare chances that they should have scored. I was frustrated that it was Bernardo, the one who scored the first goal, because I was vexed with him in the match against Arsenal. But Haaland, very uncharacteristic of him. Was it 2 or 3 chances back to back, like in a row in one play, and he missed both and skied the final one. Very unheard of. And from a City standpoint, it's so that have to happen in a match where they were actually tight on the scoreline. Because that could have happened in a match where they were like 5-0 up, 6-0 up, and it didn't even matter if he missed it. But it just had to happen in a match where they were tight, in a match that they should be winning on paper, in a time where they lost the top spot in the Premier League.
Right.
What does that say?
I mean, I'll ask your opinion on this too, but I just think they look tired. Holland's new, of course, but a majority of their squad has been through this for the past 5 years, right? With us in 2017-18, and then from then on, it's been Liverpool nonstop, right? And is it fatigue? I mean, they can't have underestimated Forest like that to the point where you're relaxing. And I mean, maybe they did because they were missing their starting two center halves, right? But the only thing I can think of is fatigue. And I guess I'll just tie this down to another question. I know you were probably less confident on Wednesday when that result, the 3-1 loss was handed to you, but I think you have to say you're more confident than ever. You're looking at this result because I think it's apparent that this season City don't have the ability to go on a 17 game winning streak that like they're used to doing.
Well, the thing is with this result is this made it aware to not. I mean, for me, I don't know if I speak for all Arsenal fans or just all fans alike, really, honestly, that Man City are beatable. They are. Before, we would have just said, all right, there's literally no chance for them not to get a result here. And now this is against Everton, Brentford, and Nottingham Forest that they've dropped points in matches where you would have expected them to just go on and steamroll these guys. So this is why I feel a bit more confident now, is because there's actually hope in some of the City games for them to drop points. Whereas in the past, I never felt that hope. I felt like they're not going to drop points. It doesn't even matter. By the time they went 1-0 up, I was like, that's it, done, based on past experiences. So that's what they did. And the reason I think it's happening, you mentioned fatigue. Yeah, I feel like that's part of it. But I feel a major part of it is the fact that, we spoke about how Pep, and he's been a master at this from time. He adapts his team constantly. It's not a constant system throughout from the start of his reign, where he had Sane and Sterling on the wings, and they were, same side, same foot, left foot on the left side, right foot on the right side, traditional wingers. He's had to adapt it and change up. And I think now he's in an adaptation phase that isn't going as smoothly as past ones have. And it's in a time where it's a bit more crucial, where there's a bit more pressure on him. Things like Ake coming in for Cancelo. Before, in the past, Cancelo used to be his attacking threat on the left side. Now he's almost kind of had to invert that, to have Ake be more a defensive role on the left side. So now that's something that he's had to consider. How now can he get the balance in the team in the rest of the areas to be able to blend together, for it to cope all together? Grealish has been starting a lot more recently. I don't know if he's having that same impact. I still think he needs a bit of psychological maturity, and I think it's going to come. He's already started to mature, but as a matter of that side of his game, gelling with the rest of the players out there, that's where I think the challenge is right now for Pep.
Yeah, I mean, and then we have to give him credit, right? He's adapted multiple times where maybe the likes of Klopp have probably not been able to do so to that extent of success. But I mean, just going back to your point on having hope, I think they've been giving you hope this season, and it's the same reason why I was confident that we were going to beat City, because I don't think they had it. I don't know if he needed this game to really tell you that because you know they've been showing you, they've been giving you hope this whole season. So it's I mean it's a good result nonetheless. I think again this draw would is pretty much a loss for City, and pretty much a win for Forest, or no, sorry, Nottingham Forest. I think for Nottingham Forest fans don't like Notts Forest, the Notts County rivalry and all that stuff. So
Understood. Well, note that for sure then. Now moving on to what, in my opinion, was the highlight matchup this weekend.
which ended up turning out to be a shit show, but
Friggin' Newcastle, Liverpool. What the hell was Nick Pope doing? This guy comes out, he's trying to stop a long ball from Allison, and
he
just
forgot he can use his feet.
yeah, the man was completely out of the ball outside the box, sent off, red card. Sad day for the debutant, the Newcastle debutant who had to be subbed off early after that red card offense by Nick Pope.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, Newcastle started off brilliantly this game.
Right,
Like they were on the front foot, and there was a chance to Almiron, right? I know Almiron's been pretty poor recently, but I mean he has to score that. I know Alisson's a great 1v1 keeper, but I mean it's one-on-one with the keeper, right? And you're nobody around you pretty much. But that went really three mistakes that cost Newcastle. The first one, Trippier, is or both goals. Trippier, I mean, would I go as far as to say that's a mistake? I mean, that's a great ball and great play from Salah for the second goal, especially, right? Just thinking a step ahead. But yeah, I mean that 10-minute spell just killed the game. I mean, when you go down to 10 men against Liverpool at home, 2-0 down, it's just I think both teams, maybe more so for Liverpool, had the midweek game in mind. Mind you, they're going to Madrid, or they're hosting Madrid for the Champions League round of 16. And I think it was more down to Liverpool just dropping into the second gear because I mean, from that point on, it was poor for Liverpool, right? And I mean, Liverpool had chances to kill the game, really kill the game, make it 3-4 towards the end too. But I just don't know that what much could be said about this game other than, I mean, sometimes these games happen. And for Newcastle, this is now a very bad spell of games. They dropped points in the previous two games, and then now they lost against Liverpool. That's 2 out of 9 without Bruno Guimaraes. But he'll be back for the final, which is unfortunate for my team. But I think I think their focus is on the final, right? Maybe that played a bit of a factor into them as well. You know, they're dropping form because this is their biggest game in since 1999. I think that was the last time they made it to the final, where they lost to Manchester United to for us to complete the treble in the FA Cup final. So
Had to get that one in, of course. But I did want to mention as well, Theo mentioned it before actually the match started. He had called Gakpo to score, which he did. And we all know how he feels about Nunes already. But boy, Nunes did turn up today. I wonder if this was a factor of him actually finding a match that was suitable for him. Like he found an opponent that didn't, that fed into his game, if that makes any sense. You think that was the case, or is he starting to show some signs of turning things around?
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a powerful finish, right, from Nunes, but even for that goal, what is Pope doing there? He comes rushing out and he just does nothing. He watches the. I know the shot was taken quite early and it was a rocket, but I mean, if Pope was in the right position at the right time, not the right time. We say that for strikers, but if Pope was doing his job properly, that shot's going straight at the keeper, right? So I wouldn't say so. I think it's just a mental relapse. I mean, if he continues this, of course, I'll eat my words, of course. But I think for Nunes especially, I think it's just the Newcastle defense was very unlike themselves. We know how tight they can be. We know how compact they can be, and just a lot of mistakes.
Now the question is, will this continue for either side? Obviously, for their respective results. Do Newcastle make the top four?
Well, I mean, they're struggling to score, and I'll say this about the record. I think it's the record signing, but Alexander Isak, I think they need to go get a refund from Real Sociedad because the guy runs away from goal. He doesn't want to score.
You don't like his link-up play, though?
The guy is there to score. When Newcastle's not scoring, you need to be there to score, and that's not what he's doing right now. And I mean, for that price, you're not buying him for a link-up plays. You're buying him to score 20 goals a season, and he's not. He doesn't. He's not. Yeah, I don't think he's fit enough for the Premier League. I mean, he's young, so I mean, we'll see. But the guy doesn't seem right to me.
Well, that's a big word still, no lie. Speaking of a striker who is proving fit for the Premier League, this guy just cannot seem to stop scoring. Marcus Rashford with another brace against Leicester to give you guys a convincing 3-0 victory. This one was frustrating for me because Leicester started off so strong. I felt the first goal came against a run-up play.
It did, yeah, yeah. But Leicester should know that they're not playing against wacky inflatable arms that were in the name of Eric Dyer, Fraser Forster, Tanganga, Ben Davies. No, I mean they're playing against, in terms of shot saving, still one of the best keepers in the league, David De Gea, and this season one of the best center halves, Lisandro Martinez. So you're not gonna get given easy goals like that, like they did against Spurs. So I have to give them credit. I mean, if we should have arguably went down 2-0, at least, right? There's a chance for Harvey Barnes. It's one on one. It's if he hits it even slightly towards the corner, that goes in. Ian Acho with a header, and I think
That
there's
was
one.
my big chance.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it went over the line at first, and he just clawed it up, but it didn't. I mean, good. That's what he's known for. You know, his reaction speed. It's top notch still at over 30 years of age. But I mean, what can you say? You don't have a clinical striker like Rashford. You have to score those chances. And Leicester, I mentioned they're kind of in a resurgent form, and they really look good. And especially in the first half, they were very good. I mean, they made it very tight. That goal came from a mistake, right? About fast, just errant pass. Sabitzer wins it well, plays it to Bruno, and then we know the connection between him and Rashford. But very similar to the Arsenal game, they just never showed up for the second half. In the second half, you would say we should have scored 4, 5, you know, and the offside, it looked off, but I mean, I guess it's on. It's the angle that we see may not necessarily always be the right angle, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't read too much into them conceding 3 because they, I think they'll feel a bit hard done by, but I mean that's what it is like in the Premier League. If you're not taking your chances, you know, goals changes games, or goals change games, and this game it did. I think it I think it killed their confidence because they looked full of confidence in the first half, but then after that goal went in, uh, they didn't offer anything after that.
Well, for me here, I want to look not just at the chances I never scored. I want to call out a player on the Leicester side in particular who I, in the past, was quite impressed with his play. And then the guy has just been downhill when every time I've seen him play after that. Liverpool, the man got 2 own goals. And now today, the man was just horrific. For that first goal, first of all, he gave the ball away. Then the man steps up out of position and just allows Rashford the spacing to run. Twice Wout Fires, right? That's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, Vault Fives, yeah, yeah.
Wout Fires, bro. This guy was horrific today again. I felt he sold the match.
Okay, I see the mistake. I see the errant pass, but I think the offside trap was more down to uh Harry Sutar was the one keeping him on side, and I can't blame them too much. Sutar's just been brought in 3 weeks ago, and this is their third game together, I think. But I mean, maybe that was not the time to put the offside trap on Rashford, right? I mean, you see the ball going out wide to Bruno, and then you know he's going to try to find Rashford. So, but I think other than that, he had a good game. I mean, he had a goal-saving tackle against Sancho in the second half too. He had that bad foul at the end of the first half, and that's also from his mistake, right? He tried to clear it, but he never got it under control.
On Bruno, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I thought they were overall Leicester, their lines, their organization out off the ball were very solid. I was looking at their structure, and then, yeah, we're not gonna score if not for a mistake from their defense, and of course they obliged. That's what they are. You know, that's why they're where they are right now. So
Yeah. So, wow. I mean, let's see if Manu can keep this up though, because it's looking like they're entering, or yeah, pretty much have entered the title race as well. But you wait on there, so you have some time to to figure that out. But aside who is now entering the top four race, well, really they're in it, but you know, they've
yes,
officially
yes.
entered it. They've officially entered the top four now, thanks to Newcastle losing. Friggin' Newcastle, man. They beat West Ham. Tottenham beat West Ham 2-0. Your man getting the all important second goal to clean it up. What was Agbana doing?
I mean, I guess I kind of expected David Moyes to go three at the back, and that fits their center halves, right? Kerr operates better as one of the three than in a back four. But I mean, this game, I'm sorry. First half, I could not watch that game. I was just, I mean, that's what you expect, I guess, when West Ham, who obnoxiously try to play defensive away from home against the big sides, and they're traveling to Tottenham. But the second half, I mean, do we have to mention this guy now, Emerson Royale? I mean, maybe this is why you bring in players. You know that 50 million I think they paid for Pedro Porro that was spent to upgrade on Emerson Royale. Not in a traditional way where Pedro Porro is taking over his starting spot, but feel something in his system, feel something in his fire, something because something has changed this man. I mean, he had a great game against Grealish, right, against City, and now the two wingbacks combined for the first goal, the all important first goal when it never looked like it was going to come for either side. This is just Tottenham. You know, I didn't enjoy watching the game, but I always expected Tottenham to get a result because West Ham have just that's just kind of been the season for West Ham. They just can't get anything from these games.
Very frustratingly. Do you feel like this is something that Tottenham can build off of, or do you feel like this was just it's just West Ham, so whatever?
I mean, I don't think their performance is anything to cry home about. Like I don't think it wasn't anything inspiring. It was more along those lines of what Tottenham have been doing this season. But I will say the assistant manager for Conte, I know his name now, Christian Cellini, because they've mentioned this so many times. 6 for 6, filling in. So,
That is inclusive of Inter Milan as
right,
well.
right. Only twice of those 6 games were at Tottenham, and they all came in recent weeks. But I mean, could this be the turning point for Tottenham? Maybe. I mean, they had a dreadful performance against Milan in the midweek. It's I don't expect anything to turn around too much in terms of the performances. but I just feel like they're gonna scrape by and get into the top four because not only because Newcastle can't seem to score goals, but I just I mean that's what Tottenham did last year too, right? They stepped up when it mattered, and I can honestly see them doing the same again because they have the players. I mean, when you have the best striker in the Premier League, Harry Kane, the midfield is shaky, right? Bentancur is going to be out for the season. Bissouma's out as well. They're relying on Skip, Højbjerg, and Sarr, which none of them have the authority of any other big six clubs midfield. But I mean, they're getting results. So it's hard for me to doubt Tottenham because just because they have good enough players and they can score, right? I mean, goal scoring isn't a problem for them. It's the clean sheets.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see if they can keep that up, but that is looking like it for today. Thanks as always.